Hey friends, this is Tana from Proverbial Homemaker, and today I'm going to give you a look at what a typical week looks like using Christian Light Education Math in our homeschool. If you follow me for a while now, you know that I love this curriculum. It's thorough and it's flexible. It's something that gives my kids a solid foundation in math skills, and we've used this program for several years now with multiple children. It really continues to be one of my favorite resources for homeschool math. Each CLE Math level is made up of 10 light units or workbooks. Each light unit contains 17 lessons. That's about 100 lessons total for the whole year. Inside the 17 lessons for each light unit, you're going to find daily lessons that include the new concept that your child is learning for that lesson, plus practice using a spiral approach. They can review past concepts. Then there will be 2 quizzes that help check their progress, and then 1 test at the end of the light unit. There's also 1 discovery or explanation lesson that's included that adds some hands-on or real-life application. Every lesson is laid out in a very consistent way, which is super helpful for us parents. The lesson begins with a short teaching section that introduces the new concept, and then you're going to find a section called We Remember, which includes all the review of the previously learned material so they don't lose those foundational skills. In the lower levels too, you'll see flashcard practice and math facts speed drills that are built right in. And, I have to say in the past, I have skipped those with some of my kids and have regretted it. So definitely build in the habit of working through those speed drills and math facts. Now, I'll say this, no 2 weeks with CLE Math look exactly the same, and that's because the way the quizzes and tests and discovery lessons are spaced out. But the rhythm naturally changes week to week, and honestly, that works just fine for us because we often adapt the pacing to fit our kids instead of trying to keep up with a preset plan. And so here's what I mean by that. If my child is really getting it, then we might move a little bit faster. Sometimes I will skip a quiz if I already know that they've mastered that material, or skip the discovery lessons if we're short on time, or cross off some of the extra practice problems if they clearly don't need that many repetitions. We still usually take the test at the end of the light units, but even that's flexible because I'm checking their work daily and helping them through trouble spots. So I actually already have a good idea of what they understand about the concepts, but we generally stick to doing the main test for each light unit. If we really need to pick up the pace, we might double up. We might do 2 lessons in 1 sitting in that case. So we would cover the new concept material for both of those lessons and then just do 1 set of the review questions and 1 speed drill and 1 flashcard session. And that's a great option if you're trying to finish out the year, or if your child is already, and definitely only do that if your child is already really nailing the concepts and it's not overwhelming for them and they don't need the extra practice. But we have done that several times in the past. On the flip side, sometimes we slow down. If a concept is tricky, like long division or fractions, or my student is just feeling overwhelmed by it, then we'll take 2 days to finish 1 lesson. So day 1 might cover the new teaching and some of the practice problems, and then day 2 we'll finish the rest of the exercises and do a short review together. And I found that really slowing down temporarily like this is far better than trying to push through and be frustrated by it. And so thanks to CLE's logical sequence, they really do catch up naturally when we hit a stretch of easier material later on by doing that doubling up. These little adjustments, speeding up and slowing down and skipping and combining lessons, these have really helped my kids to stay on level overall. And we also do our schooling year round and then just take breaks when we want, so that helps as well. But generally, I don't really stress about being behind. It has always worked out. So here's what a typical week actually looks like for us. I don't worry about detailed planning for this. It's laid out so easily. We just do the next thing in the light unit. We'll decide what kind of adaptations we want to make overall, and usually we have a pretty good idea of what we're doing with that already, but we also make adjustments as needed, crossing things off or speeding up or slowing down, etc. Right now, each day when we start math, we start by correcting the last lesson that was worked through, and then we deal with any issues or concerns with that, and then we'll work on the next lesson. And so I will cross off some of the practice problems based on what I saw in how they did the last lesson. So I won't cross off problems where they clearly need more practice or more instruction, but if they're always getting certain kinds of problems right, then I'll cross those off sometimes. The kids work through the day's lessons mostly independently once they know their routine. The younger ones might need help going through a new concept. And then the older ones, though, they really just read the instructions themselves, and then they'll just come to me when they have questions. For our corrections, we either do them right away that day, right after they're finished with the lesson, or right now our rhythm is to do it the next day before bringing on the new lesson. And that's important because that's the hardest part of a busy household like ours when it comes to math, is staying on top of grading and corrections. And I really have found it important to keep up with that. So trying to build in a rhythm where we're doing that correction right after the lesson or right before we start the next lesson really helps and makes a huge difference in retention and confidence. Sometimes I'll have the older ones correct their own work for lessons and maybe even for the quizzes. So I'll just give them the teacher guide, and then they'll use it to check their answers on their lesson. They'll circle anything that's wrong, and they'll come and show me those things. I'll put the teacher manual away, and we'll look at those, and they will rework those problems on their own, coming to me if they need help. And if we hit a sticky spot, an area where they really don't understand the concept and I'm not sure how it was taught in the program, then I'll bring the teacher manual down and we'll work them through together if needed. After all that, I put the teacher guide away until next time. I don't have it freely available, and that little step keeps temptation in check so that they're not tempted to use it or go grab it when they're working on lessons and corrections on their own. I still personally grade the tests and usually the quizzes too, because I want to get a full picture of how well they've mastered the light unit before we move on. And so this general system has saved me so much time and has helped my kids take more responsibility for their own learning and has kept us progressing really well. Once we finish a light unit, we celebrate a little because it feels like an accomplishment, and then we move right on to the next one. So there's no fancy rotation or complicated tracking system. It's just steady, consistent practice, one lesson at a time. Overall, it's a really easy rhythm that fits our homeschool routine beautifully. Christian Light Education Math is an excellent program. It's well organized, it's easy to teach, it's very thorough, and covers every major math skill step by step. It's flexible, you can speed up or slow down as needed to fit your child, and it also encourages independence for them as they mature. I also love that it includes wholesome stories and references to scripture and God's order and design for his creation. So that's what a typical week looks like with Christian Light Education Math in our homeschool. If you'd like to learn more or see sample lessons, go ahead and check out the link in the description I provided. Feel free to ask me questions anytime. I love to talk about curriculum. And thanks for watching. Happy homeschooling, friends.